Hey guys, I want to point out two easy mistakes to make when you're converting from the var sheet, the horizontal var sheet format to the vertical base global variable format. And I just want to point these out to make sure that you don't make those mistakes because they're pretty easy. All right, let's say I got my var sheet done, right? I totally got it done. I probably made a copy, right? Because now I'm gonna like destroy it, or at least I'm gonna start screwing around with it. So now that I'm screwing around with it, what am I going to do? Well, you probably remember what we're doing. We're taking the top two, right? We're taking the header row, and let's say the first row down here. It doesn't have to be the first row. You could come down here and highlight one of these to be your second row. You would just copy and paste them as you wish. Okay. So I'm going to show you on a new tab, which is not what you would normally do. Normally, you would put this in a separate file for upload. As a matter of fact, how would you do it? You would start here. Oh, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't even have any global variables. You want to actually import the files, but you probably don't have them. Just remember that your file needs to have title, code, and value as the header, right? Those three simple words, title, code, value as the header. But it needs to be its own file, and just make sure you get the tab name right. It's global space variables with a capital G and a capital V. That means right down here, right? Global space variables, global variables, proper case. All right, take a look. I'm just going to do this in a second tab for ease right now. But yeah, you should do this in a whole new Excel file. Just copy and paste in a whole new Excel file. All right, matter of fact, I'll copy and paste in a whole new Excel file. All right, so here we go. There we go. I'm going to say base GV, right? Okay, I got it. I'm going to open it. Let's just do this. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to take this first row, copy it, paste it in, okay? So far, and even then, that's actually wrong. Sorry, I'm thinking about something else. Okay, I copied this, right? So now I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna transpose it going down, okay? And then you remember what we have to do with the bracket deal. So I'm gonna copy this and stick it over here. That gives me room to put the beginning bracket stuff and the ending bracket stuff. So I'm gonna paste my values here, okay? So far, this probably makes some pretty good sense to you. Now keep in mind, if you're gonna copy from up here, just make sure to get your basic values in, but only for the ones you need. And you'll see what I mean. So I'm gonna copy this. Let's say that's what I want to be the front page. The city Azusa, of course. I'm from Azusa. Or my client is in Azusa. I don't know. All right, so here we go. Let me put that here. Okay, now that's all done. Okay, first thing, well, that part is done. Now, the first thing is I want to put this, I want to go on the other side, right? Put this, okay? And I'm going to drag and drop these things, right? So I'm going to come all the way down with this one. And you probably already see the issue. And you probably already saw it here. So you can correct it before or after as long as you correct it, okay? And so let me take this and drag it down as well. And what's the issue going to be? I'm going to concatenate these, but I've already got these things here, right? So let me just show you two ways of dealing with it real quick. Before I would have even done that, I would have come here, highlighted the column, Control H, and I would delete all cases of this by just replacing it with nothing, and all cases of the other one, right? Replace all, and that gets rid of that. And then what would I do? I would copy that, right? And I would come over here and paste it in here. And that way, you know, this is right for my concatenation. There's not going to be any doubled up bracket routine going on. So that's the first case, right? Now the second case, say you missed it, okay? Let me just continue. I'm going to totally do this, all right? And I'll just do it this way because I can, okay? And when you have emoji toolbar, you can do this kind of thing too. It's kind of nice to have functions like that. So one of the earlier functions we ever did, it was originally to be able to put A's and N's before words like a table and elephant. So we needed spaces in there between the words, the A column, A and N here, table and elephant there, put them together with a space in between the words, right? So every time you pulled together two columns, you know, that's what you were doing, concatenating. All right, so now I have to highlight this row and get rid of all those spaces, right? I should not be having spaces in there. So every case of a space, get rid of it. Okay, there we go. And now you see the problem. Sooner or later, you'll realize the problem when you try to upload it and it says it's in the wrong format, or your codes are coming out wrong. They have like extra doubled up quotes, and you're like, what the heck? And you don't get it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, of course. So fix it here and re-upload it to overwrite because it'll overwrite. So anyway, take a look. How do you fix that? Pretty simple. Just take every case of this, Control C, right? I'm sure you see where I'm going with this, and replace it with that. And you can do it with the whole file if you want, or just highlight the column if you want to be specific. Okay. And then, of course, take every opposite case, right? Control C. So take every case of that and replace it with that. Okay. And there you go. That's done. Now, just don't forget a couple of things. One, when you put the base global variables up, not the batch global variables, which is the big, long, huge sitemap file, but these base global variables do not have URL type and folder type. They do not apply to the base pages, and the programming is such that they break things if they're in here, and you just have to realize that, delete them, and then upload again to overwrite. The front page of your website will just not show up if you accidentally have these in here. So get rid of them, delete. Last thing, you'll upload and it'll say it's not in the right format. You'll be like, why? It's one of two things. One, yeah, so there are definitely a number of things that you can scroll. Title, code, value, right? Title, just with a capital T, code with a capital C, value with a capital V. You can choose to bold them for your own purposes or your remembrance or whatever you want, but you don't need to. And the second thing, well, a few things. One, theme needs to be probably 0, okay? You need a theme. If you have no theme, it cannot select a theme, so the front page will be blank. It was not told what theme to use. Then the final piece, if it's still not working, is you'll remember the tab. Should be global variables. After all, that's what you got here on this tab. Global variables. There you go. That's the full troubleshooter, right? There should be nothing past that. If you try to double click this, it's going to run totally rampant because of paragraphs. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go, oh yeah, things way over there somewhere. If I want to make it easier to see or pull it back in, I'll just highlight C, right? The column C, right click and hit column width and decide how wide I want it to be in pixels, maybe 40 pixels. Okay. Now there's nothing after column C, nothing in column D or E or F or anything. So the wording will bleed over anyway. And that's totally fine if the wording bleeds over, right? I don't have anything in a lot of this because of whatever reason. I don't even know. May not have been much in here. I don't know. Oh yeah. Literally, that is a mistake. You should use the top row and then just adjust it, right? Make sure you got all your values, you know? Matter of fact, let me do it exactly right. I'm going to go from exactly the beginning of what works to exactly the end. Notice I'm not highlighting that because it's really here, right? It's just bleeding over. Control C. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to come back and just overwrite. Boom. Okay. And I got my 0 and, and everything else, right? There you go. Now you see what's going on. It's bleeding totally over the top, right? By the way, if you have font differences like this, it shouldn't matter. But if you want to be clear, just do something obvious. Highlight your columns. You could highlight all 3 columns. And do what? Go to home and just force it, right? Like even though it's Calibri, go to something else, then come back to Calibri. And then it should be 11. If it's not, go to something else, then come back to 11. Calibri 11 is the default. Everything looks good in Excel in Calibri 11. And it should mean that there are no font worries when you upload that the system will not recognize something. Okay, everything's done. Theme is 0, global variables. I got my header row in here. The only other thing is start with column D, highlight a whole bunch if you want, and just right click and delete. Why? No reason. Just to make sure you didn't accidentally have stray information in there. You probably won't. but then just, yeah, glance down, make sure it still looks like you've got values in everything. Everything should have some kind of a value in it, right? Basically. Yeah. For base global variables, there ought to be a value for about everything in here, right? If it's and this, by the way, down here, that's banner height. If you wanted to make your banner taller, you know, where the biggest images at the top of the page is the banner images. If you want to make that taller, increase this. This is 500 pixels. You want 500, you want 600, you want 800, 1200, what do you want? You can just change it. Okay. There you go. All right. That is ready for uploading. So if I was going to upload it, which I'm not particularly, but what would I do? I'd take it, drag it here, and then when I import, if there was nothing there, it will fill in. If there was anything there, it will delete all of it. No matter how many pages of it, no matter how few or much of it, it will delete everything and then fill in the values from your Excel file. All right. So just keep that in mind. When you put up base global variables, that is the base structure of the main pages of the website. It doesn't add them into variables that already exist. It literally assumes you're doing a whole new project. So it deletes the load and then it puts in your new file. So if there were 1,000 variables and now you're putting in a 200 variable file, it will delete all 1,000 and then create the 200 you are adding. So you're only going to have 200 variables because you should only have 200 variables. How would the other 800 fit in this apparently brand new project that you just did? Okay. Word to the wise, save your backups. Save your base global variables somewhere. Save your batch global variables somewhere. Save your var sheet somewhere. Give them good names and stick them in a folder, in a bigger set of folders of all the jobs you're doing so that you don't lose track. That way you always have them. You can pull them out anytime you need them. Okay? All right. I think that's good enough for this video and gave you a lot of insight on how to make sure to get this right. And there you have it.